the fact that their biggest disappointment with Kyle as a player, we can get into the other stuff, and I hit on some of this in the pod, has been defensively. Um, that they haven't been able to use him in the ways that they thought they could use him. When they signed Kyle, we even talked on a podcast about, okay, now they've got a bulldog at the point of attack. I hadn't watched him enough, I will be honest, or since the championship in 2019. That year that they were in Tampa, I didn't watch them at all, and I didn't see how much he had declined in that capacity. So the idea that you worry about Rozier's defense. Now, Pat hasn't typically loved tiny point guards, but there have been a few. Lowry's one, and Tim Hardaway is another. I will just say this, and this I'm going to date myself here, but everybody looks at Tim Hardaway, oh, Hall of Famer and all the rest of this stuff. That was not the conversation in 1996, 95, 96. I can tell you. He was third string in Golden State, benched behind an old post Bulls BJ Armstrong. Everybody thought Timmy was done, and he was tiny, and he was overweight, and he had bad knees. And Pat went out and got him anyway, and he ended up solidifying their backcourt for 5 years and building on what became a Hall of Fame career. So I feel like any concerns about Rozier's height or his defense, I think, would be a little bit overstated. I don't think they have an issue with that. Their biggest understanding at this stage is that they need to generate more offense. That's they get what we because I do think that they believe that they will figure out a way to cobble together a defense around Bam when they have some continuity. But the offense, we've looked. I mean, the numbers are the numbers. Like they need somebody else in that starting lineup, and if they're not going to put Duncan in for Tyler, which I know is a place where this discussion could ultimately go. But if they're not going to do that, then they need somebody who can generate some offense. Sean and I got into it on the podcast a little bit. Terry Rozier likes to operate in the mid range also. Okay. So you've already got your three best players who like to operate there. And I think they're going to need to make some sacrifices. Tyler is going to have to do more of what he did last night, which is stretch out to the 3-point line, take more threes. I think he needs to take 10 threes a night. He's at 8 for the season. He took, I think, 11 last night. And Bam needs to get near the basket more often. And maybe Rozier's ability to get in the paint more than Kyle can will help that in some ways. But they can't have Bam just shooting mid ranges, especially when he's not even making them lately. So to me, he's a different kind of player than what they have. I think he's a kind of player that they could use right now. I like Murray better. I'm with Eternal on this. Murray is a higher end player. He's going to potentially give you more defensively. But if you're going to get in a bidding war with the Lakers for him,
and the Knicks,
and you're going to and the Knicks, and you're going to exhaust the rest of whatever assets you have, can you pivot after that? And I think their lean right now will be to the hedge move. We give it a shot. He could be a high-end player for us. He wants to win. He's been in a losing situation. He wants to play for Miami. Try to juice the offense a little bit. You get Jaquez back. You see how all the pieces fit. If they still don't fit with Tyler, we start to have other conversations with Tyler, okay, about Tyler. But I think they want to at least take a look at it. And then worst case scenario, I mean, I'm looking at the contract, and you're right. This was one of those that was considered a bad contract at the time, and it's not now. I mean, he's making 23.2 this year, 24.9 next year. He's got a partial guarantee in 25-26 at 26.5 million. So, I mean, that's reasonable money. That's reasonable money for production. I think that they can anticipate. So, I mean, Kyle has 15 field goals made in January. Terry Rozier made 16 in his past 2 games, and 17 in the 2 games before that. So, and he's not doing it on 6 of 23 shooting. He's doing it on he's doing it on 7 of 14 shooting, 7 of 15 shooting. So I just feel like that's Tyler Bass had 1 yesterday, same number as Kyle Welsh. So that's that's kind of that's kind of the direction. And Eric Hitson, our guy Eric, who joins us on the Prize Picks and football coverage. It sounds like what you're getting at here is the Rozier Murray stuff. Team isn't really sure about this build. At least is not as sure. They like their team, but I think that at a certain point you have to look at it and that they know it needs something. I don't think they think they can just keep rearranging these deck chairs and that's gonna work. And I will say this, like, they're out on Kyle from the very, 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 very top of the organization all the way down.
Without saying any names. Without saying any names.
I
They're
want to
out
add
on
this. I want to
they're
add
out
this.
on Kyle.
I want to add this because you mentioned the shooting. Like Tyler Hero right now, who is shooting 40% from three to his credit, but he's not getting to the free throw line. He's
Right.
got one free throw attempt in his last 100 minutes of basketball. His free throw rate is .146. That's the worst of his career. It's actually the lowest, so it's getting worse.
Mhm.
Terry
Mhm.
Rozier is at .236. That's basically the same as Jaime Jaquez. Terry Rozier's free throw rate. So to give you an idea of the drives and whatever the case may be. He's also shooting a good amount from three. It's about 8 threes a game or so. And he's making 36, 37%, which is actually pretty good. League average is around 35, 36 typically around this point.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
he's getting downhill. And again, free throw rate in terms of guys who lead the team, obviously Jimmy's first, like with a bullet. Bam is second. Kevin Love is third. And then among the rotation players, Jaime Jaquez is right there. So that's where Terry Rozier would be. He would be right there where Jaime Jaquez is in terms of just his free throw rate. And obviously he scores, he'll try on defense. Like he gives you all the things they need. And I think you said it right, where in comparison to DeJounte Murray, I think Murray, they're going to get outbid and Murray would cost more. The Murray idea is a good one. I think he's becoming a little bit more of an overrated player as this goes by other fan bases. I don't care about his two buzzer beaters because I think he's going to cost a lot. And then people are going to get him and be like, wait, I thought he was going to be this and he's not. And also, it's like if he's playing the way he is with Trey Young, he's going to go into somewhere else that it's like, if you need to be featured on offense and be the guy on offense, this isn't really the team for you either. Like you have to be able to play off a couple of guys in Jimmy and Bam that aren't the easiest to play off offensively. I think Terry Rozier can sort of thread that needle. I think the reason why Tyler Hero struggles to do it is because he doesn't drive with a purpose usually. He drives to kick, drives to get to his floater, pull up from the mid-range area. I think the reason why Jaime Jaquez is thriving is because he drives with the purpose, and I think Terry Rozier would come in and theoretically do that.
I want to get to a couple things. First thing, Eternal, to take Colin Sexton off and throw Terry Rozier on. I don't think Sexton's coming, so I'm
No,
with them.
I just have a
I'm with them
I
on
have a
this.
playlist.
I
I
know
just
you have
have
a
a
playlist,
playlist.
but I mean, look, so does so does. I'm not even going to mention bands because I'll date myself. But certain you have a playlist sometimes, but the audience doesn't fit the playlist, so you change. Plenty of good bands do that. I want to get there with. This is from I'm gonna be late to the game too, and I think this is what they're looking for. So can Terry Rozier be a bubble Goron like player? I think if you talk about what's cleaned up the offense in the bubble, it was Goron's ability to get in the paint and make plays, right? Like that ungummed the offense in a lot of different ways. The drive and kick stuff and all that. If Terry Rozier can provide 70% of what Goron did in the bubble, that helps this offense immensely. So what do I think they're looking for? I think they're looking for more of that than traditional point guard. Like bring the ball up the floor and start to run every set. I don't think that's what they're looking for. They want somebody who can go get his. Honestly, they don't have enough of that. So for all those reasons, I think this makes sense. I agree, Brian, about Dejounte. I really like Dejounte, but I think Dejounte is a better fit in New York
Yeah.
next to Jalen.
Here's the other
Well,
thing.
you're on mute. Yeah, go ahead.
Here's the other thing about Rozier, and I like DeJounte too. I just think it's going to cost them everything, and I don't think you could afford to. Like, if you're trying to do both, you can't give up everything, right? The thing with Terry Rozier is he also, like, in terms of setting up the offense or whatever, like people were saying, oh, Goran Dragic was 3-level scorer. Terry Rozier is two this season. Like, I don't actually think there's a big gap between Terry Rozier currently and where Goran was at the time they got Goran. Goran became an all-star after they got him, right? And the other thing here is like we're talking about in terms of making plays for others. Terry Rozier right now, his assist percentage is 31.1. The highest assist percentage on the Heat is actually Jimmy Butler at 21. His assist percentage is way higher, and that's playing next to LaMelo Ball, right? Like Tyler
Right.
Heroes is at 20.9, so it's about the same as Jimmy. Terry Rozier, I'm I don't want to make it sound like yes, like he's going to be the reason they end up winning a championship or anything like that. but I think he fits a lot better than what people are expecting, and I'm not sure if people have watched him that much, and I don't blame him because watching the Hornets sucks. Like, it absolutely,
Right.
especially with Mark
Right.
out.
Ethan.
Turtle, is Pete Maravich on the playlist next? Can I
Oh,
get
you
him?
funny
He's
as hell.
dead.
Did you just get the same text I got?
Hold on. No, I got something from no, I did not. Someone wants me to pay my FPL bill. Other than that, no, I didn't get anything. What?
So can't confirm. Not even trying to be dramatic or nothing like that. I just got a text that said something maybe close.
Well, Kobe White's close to the playlist right now.
All
Can we move that
right.
off for Terry
All
Rozier? Thank you
right.
very much. I appreciate that.
Yeah, so that people
Anyway.
can see Eternal, people can see Terry Rozier because they're not. I don't think they've watched Charlotte games this year. A lot of people.
Yeah, let's put on Terry. Let's just stick with Terry Rozier for a minute. That's it.
Yeah.
I know we have, like I said, as the Heat official said, we all need Ritalin. And I get it to a certain extent when the transaction stuff happens, but we don't need to see Kobe White. I don't think that the Bulls are moving Kobe White. Comes in from Dolphin Slayer. Goran and Tyler played well together in the bubble. They did. And Tyler, I mean, Tyler was a rookie at that time, obviously, so things were a little bit different. Can I ask a question? Because I'm seeing a lot of this on the timeline here, and I haven't gotten any indication of this. So did somebody report this? Because I know Barry did over the summer, and they refuted it and they shot it down. Has anybody seen anything about a Kyle Lowry buyout, or is that just Trilly stirring up trouble? Because I haven't seen shit, honestly. Like I don't. Has somebody actually seen that? Because we're getting the questions. Gad's asking now. Like what? Where is Ira said that, or Ira said that there would be resolution this week about a veteran point guard.
Is this the
Okay.
fall?
Okay.
Is this being framed as like the fallback option if they just don't?
They're not buying him out. I would be stunned. They're not. I was told over and over they're not going to do that. It doesn't really benefit them in any way, in any significant way. And I don't think he's going to agree to the kind of buyout they want. So I don't. I know Barry floated that over the summer. I can tell you that they reacted sort of violently to that report. That there was no credibility to it, and if they go that far, then they don't. I mean, there have been times they've said we're not going to do things and did them, but their reaction to that report was such that I would be stunned, and I just don't see them doing that. They are sensitive. I'm going to say this again. They are sensitive to the perception of cheapness. Okay, I don't think they're going to buy out Kyle Lowry with the team in this situation. I don't see it. I'm sorry, I don't see it. Jerry West highlights next. You got Stockton on there? I don't want to add Stockton. Could add Terry Porter, maybe? Yeah, just put on Ted. We were watching that yesterday. All right, let's get to some of this stuff. All right, let me ask you this in the chat here, okay? Would anybody have an objection to Kyle Lowry? And Greg is saying that I have to take a look at it, that the numbers do work, even though it doesn't work in the trade machine. The numbers do work. But does anybody in the chat have an objection to Lowry and a first for Rozier?
I just feel like if you're gonna trade a first for Terry, you might as well pony up the 2 firsts for DeJounte, but whatever. But no, I would. I mean, I've been on the train.
But you'd gain another first in the offseason anyway.
Right, that's what I'm saying. So
no, but like you can still have multiple firsts to do something after is the point. DeJounte, if we're being real about where DeJounte is as a player and where Terry is as a player, I don't think the gap is that crazy. I don't think it's that crazy.
DeJounte has the higher potential under Spo. Like, forget what he does on the other team under Spo. He has the higher potential under Spo for a longer time.
Well, you do have him. You do have him for 2 additional years potentially, right? DeJounte got a player option in that last year, right?
He has a longer. He
signed the extension. Contract. He's got a longer term contract, so it depends how committed you are. It depends how committed you are to this particular build and whether or not you see DeJounte. See, look, they view their future when they have described their future. I've said this before that their future is Bam, Tyler, and Jaime, and maybe Jovic. Okay. So question becomes, if you're going to cash in, let's say you might have to cash in Jovic to get DeJounte. They're not moving Hawkins for anything. But if you do that, are you comfortable in a post Jimmy build with Bam, Tyler, DeJounte, and Jaime, and that is you don't have a ton else to play with at that point if you're giving up the 2 first-round picks at this stage. Maybe you are, and I'm not arguing that much against it, but I'm saying that's the decision you make. Whereas Rozier, you're kind of halfway committed to the future, but you're not totally, and you could still move the contract next year because it only has 1 year remaining on it after the season.
Mm-hmm.
Other than obviously the partial guarantee in the third year. And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. You move on, and somebody's always going to want a scoring point guard. So like you
Right.
It
find
keeps the team more malleable too, because Terry is someone like, if you want, and I wouldn't do this because I would do this with somebody else, but if you want, you could have him as your sixth man. DeJounte Murray, if he's on your team, he needs to start. He needs the ball. It just requires more maintenance that I'm not sure they're going to be equipped to want to do that. Along with the fact that you're going to have to give up more to get him. You're going to have to outbid the Lakers, clutch, LeBron, clutch, Rich Paul, clutch to get
maybe
DeJounte
it'll get
Murray.
LeBron. Maybe it'll get
Okay.
LeBron back next year.
You
All
know
right.
what I mean?
He
Like, you're
loves
gonna
DeJounte.
Time out.
I know he loves DeJounte.
like
Go
you're gonna
Time
like
ahead.
that's what it is. It's like
He
you're
recruited DeJounte personally.
and
for
Turtle,
Phil,
I've told
so.
you this before. Listen, I've told you this before. If you get DeJounte, that's the build. That's it. It's over. That's your
All
build
right.
going forward. So if you think DeJounte Murray is that piece, because you're gonna be cap fucked if you do that, right? That's your build. If you
All
get
right.
Terry Rozier, you can do other things beside that around your rotation, or for your rotation rather.
Am I gonna have a chance to talk?
Go ahead. I just stopped talking.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Jesus.
Well, you put on the right stream here, so that's fine. You can talk about Kobe White.
No. Listen. I tried to get that up. You asked me to fast forward. If you would have just let the playlist play, it still would have been playing. Now,
Certain level of impatience that I have here. It's something you got to deal with. Go ahead.
I don't know. It's that upper New York thing. I don't know if it's the East Coast thing there. But no, as far as the whole DeJounte thing, I don't think you are fucked as far as moves that you can make, right? Like right now, as you and Alex talked about, as the numbers that we've seen, this is the highest field goal percentage as far as efficiency wise he has done from mid-range and also 3-point. Even at the bare minimum, if you still get that with just better defense, it doesn't make it harder for you to move him if it doesn't work in the summer. Or, like Brian alluded to, if it does work with DeJounte but doesn't work with a certain other person, then you can move him as well. So, I mean, you're not losing anything having two young players that you can move potentially in a deal going out to upgrade the roster. And I also don't think that the Lakers have better assets than Miami to move. Like, this isn't.
Yeah, but they got clutch. And listen, this is how.
But I will say this. Hold on, wait. I will say this. To Ethan's point, as he said on the podcast yesterday, agents, or was it playback? One of them.
Playback.
Agencies run the league.
Yes.
So I will say that logically, that the agency can have, they can, even if the assets are in the favor of a other team, just because of relationships, that can get the deal done versus, all.
But Eternal, that's also why it potentially gets messy for the Heat too, because okay, like the Knicks are a CAA organization, right?
That's
like,
why Miami will have to
Leon
overpay.
Rose. Right. So you end up what happens here? What happens if Miami gets caught in this clutch thing? It's not that they won't take a clutch player. It's that they know how this stuff works. So let's say that they get caught up in this game with the Lakers, right? And clutch, and they go this far down the line, and meanwhile someone else goes out and gets Rozier. Okay. While they're screwing around trying to get Murray, when ultimately, let's say Clutch and Lakers work it out. Okay, give us one more thing. Give us a future second. Get this deal done. Miami's gone to the finish line on that thing, ignored something else that could have upgraded the team. When we've talked about that, sometimes Miami holds out for something, right? And they don't get what was right there. Fans have been pissed about that all the time. I think it's dangerous to get into that game with a clutch guy on LeBron's team. You understand? Like it's not just not a clutch guy not wanting to go to Miami, or them not wanting someone from clutch to go to Miami, or Miami maybe not wanting a clutch player, but literally it's clutch and LeBron. Okay. I mean, that the Lakers are a clutch team now. That's what they are. Like they'll sign anybody that the Lakers that LeBron wants them to sign. So I think if Heat fans want an upgrade, okay, Rozier's an upgrade from what they have.
Now, oh no, right.
Again,
like, no, listen, when it comes to tiers, I agree with Brian. I don't think that the talent level and ability right now is that the gap is that wide. I'm not gonna be mad regardless whether whichever one they get. Whether for
Right.
the people
2 years. He's not like that much younger either. In terms
right.
of
I mean, you're right. I get it, but I'm saying as far as like measurables and all the other things, like
right.
if we got into the tangibles and all the other shit, we could make a case.
Mhm.
But either way, Miami could get just more than just that one player, whether it's DeJounte or Terry.
Yeah.
Brian, we've been in the Discord. For all of you guys that are not in the Discord, make sure you come join us on the Discord.
Yeah,
And
let me throw that in here.
Just to take the minute and say, hey, we appreciate all of you 174, 75 of you guys come to join us on your Monday or whatever. But whether that's Miami getting Terry Rozier and Nick Richards, I did see the report last week that said that the Hornets outside of, I think it was LaMelo, Brandon Miller, and Mark Williams, everybody on the roster is available. So if it's Terry and Nick Richards, you still have other moves. We talked about this before, Brian, Ethan, where I don't think Miami just makes one move. Like if they make a move, I can see them making more than just one move, depending on who goes out.
Eternal, you're right in the sense that when they've done these things in the like the Crowder Iguodala thing was, done in a way, and we remember when they made those moves in 1920 or the trade deadline of 20, which they had the whole COVID thing. It came before COVID, actually, right before COVID. They actually had a third player they were adding, which was Danilo Gallinari. Like they don't typically just do the one. You're right. They don't typically they'll have Andy work out the numbers with all these different teams, and there's a lot of moving parts. And remember, if they ended up getting rid of Dion's contract, getting rid of Justice, getting rid of JJ, James Johnson, and bringing in Crowder, Iguodala, and Solomon Hill. But they also were close to a deal with Danilo. They just could not agree with Danilo about the length of the contract. That's it. Otherwise, they would have brought in three. So they have done this kind of thing before. And so some of these names that are out there, Davion Mitchell, others, yes, they absolutely could look to shake this thing up because I think Spo is used to this. They've done this then before. But I think that Heat fans should be prepared for the fact that it may not work right away. Like the Iguodala Crowder thing, like they sucked for 2 weeks. Like they were bad. They went on that road West Coast swing. They looked awkward. So there's going to be a little bit of a step back time. But I think they'll look at it like that's why if they do this, they may want to get 2 or 3 pieces at the same time.
Right.
And you just do the rework then. And it's a sort of a mini training camp leading into the All-Star break. And I think that may be the direction that they decide to go here. So,
but also another thing too, Ethan, is the sooner you do it, the more time you have to make it gel. So I do think because of how this past week and a half has gone for them, and because of the whole awkward situation with Kyle and all of that shit there, it may be something close to happening this week. I'm not saying that it's going to happen this week. I'm just saying.
No, you don't even have to say that. I've heard the same thing. They want to get something done this week. Like I talked to officials over the weekend. Like the Lowry thing is not going to force them to make a move, but it's confirmation of everything else that they've kind of been dealing with all along. And
they're done with it. They want out.
They went out. They went out. They've wanted out for a while, but I mean, again, Spo was the guy who was sort of the holdout on this, and I was told we never got Toronto Kyle. Like, and then they went back and did the research and talked to people in Toronto after the fact. They're like, no, he was always this difficult, but we covered it up because he was our star, and the Heat can relate because they said we've done the same thing for our stars over the years. And it's like I said too. I think you can have one guy who's difficult like Jimmy Butler, but you can't have. It's always to say you can't give him a buddy, right? And one guy is worth it for them, and one guy is not, and that's it. They did not think that they would be in this position having to count on him as much as they do this year. And I don't know that the situation is. It's not Whiteside. It's not even Waiters. It's not at that level because Kyle's going to be somewhat professional because Kyle has a legacy to protect. Okay, like he has a potential Hall of Fame legacy. This isn't a Whiteside situation, but it's not working anymore. And I think that there would be a little bit of a sigh of relief from the whole team if it just. I'm not saying they don't like Kyle because a lot of his teammates do like him, but like I just think it would be like, okay, all right, let's just move on with this thing. At this stage. So that's kind of why I do think they're going to try to resolve this sooner rather than later.
I agree. 2 things real quick. Because someone keeps asking about Davion Mitchell in the chat.
Mhm.
Can they use a trade exception to get him? I did hear that Davion Mitchell. So the Kings were one of the teams trying to get Pascal Siakam. They did not. I did hear that Davion Mitchell could have been part of that. For what it's worth, he's making $5 million this year, and his club option for next year, which I think is already it's already been exercised. It would have had to because he was a first round pick. $6.5 million next year. Could they fit him to a trade exception? Probably. I don't think they would do that though. Like I don't see them doing that, but I mean it would be fun. I like them coming out of the draft, but that's not something that I don't
Mhm.
know, Ethan, if you've heard anything on like
They
that front.
they did like him coming out of the draft. They did.
Yeah.
And I think what you have to look at is that I think the Caleb thing needs to be taken into consideration with all this,
Mm-hmm.
whether or not he's still going to be around or whether they're keeping him for next year. Because if they're not, if he's not a player who's going to be part of their long term future, and they've come to that decision at this point, then they will look at replacements. And one replacement in the system could be Jamal Cain. I don't know how sold Spo is on Jamal Cain. I know that he's played well in G League. He may get another opportunity to play a little bit more often. I'm getting frozen here. I'm sorry about that. I'm just mentioning the names. That's all I'm doing. Um, and Caleb may opt in. You're right. He might. Caleb likes it in Miami. He does, and and the organization likes him. It's just been a choppy season for him for a whole bunch of reasons.
Yeah.
I mean, but you could also get something back. If you get Terry, if you get DeJounte, whoever the fuck you get, like you could always get something back to replace Caleb. So for people being concerned about whether Jamal Cain is going to be the replacement,
well, you're also debating whether you're re-signing Hayward after this year
right.
too, which is another thing to consider.
Who would cost less also.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And I think the thing with Caleb too to realize is as much as they like Caleb and as much as he developed into what he developed into for them and performed at the highest level with the biggest stakes, he was brought in as a camp body. Like that.
They did not think he was going to be this.
Well, no, they did not. The J. Cole story is cute and all. And again, Brady and I were at the very first scrimmage that they opened up to us in that camp, and we both said that guy's going to be part of the rotation. That was very first day. You could tell.
Yeah.
But I don't think that I don't. I was told myself they never counted on Caleb becoming this, and so some of it is kind of it's sunk cost fallacy opposite, right? Like when you didn't invest that much in someone, it's a little bit easier to kind of move off of the player. Whereas with Tyler, like there's an investment there of the 13th overall pick and this contract. I want to throw this out because I can't stay that much longer. I do have to move to some other things today. I do want to make an announcement too for our hockey fans. We're introducing a new podcast called Cats and Rat or Rats and Cat or Cats and Rats. So that's going to be
Ethan, which name is
first
it?
week. I didn't name it. It's pretty good though. I think it's pretty good. I did not name it, so we're gonna have more Panther coverage as well, and we're adding some stuff on the Dolphins side. So anyway, but I do want to ask this question: Terry Rozier, because this is gonna set the chat on fire here. Terry Rozier has 2 years left on this deal after this one. Well, 1 year and then a partial guarantee, 24.9 and 26.6. Okay, but again, partial guarantee for the second year. I'm going to read you Tyler Hero's figures, and then I'm going to give you a question here, and then I'm going to leave and let you guys handle this because I love you
don't
both.
do that.
Okay, ready? Okay, here we go. Tyler Hero's next
people are already saying Terry, you haven't even said it yet.
Next 3 years, 29, 31, and 33. Which will be the easier contract to move if they have to move one? See you guys. Have a good one.
Brian, don't you go no damn where. Don't you go nowhere.
The last thing I'll bring up, because I also gotta go. The last thing I'll bring up is I do wonder if it's Terry Rozier and somebody else. I wonder if it's Nick Richards. I wanted to ask Ethan this, but he dipped because Nick Richards is a backup center, and the Heat don't typically acquire backup centers like that. Or do they take a swing on James Bouknight? Which,
I think they got a need though, Brian. They're gonna have to move Thomas Bryant anyway, so that just makes sense.
If you're swapping Thomas Bryant for Nick Richards, sure. I don't know why Charlotte would do that, but sure. But I don't think
first and a second.
Yeah,
I
that's
mean, a
kind
first
of
and a second gets that done though.
that's kind. Well, we don't know, but like in theory, I mean,
Yeah,
look,
in theory, yeah.
yeah, like if you're basically look, I'll put it to you this way. This is the simplest math. If you're turning, and I like Nick Richards for what it's worth. I think he's actually played some decent minutes, but they're waiting for Mark Williams, who's still out. And Mark Williams comes back, Nick Richards won't play that much. So Charlotte's probably like, even though Nick Richards is signed for $5 million for the next few years, it's like maybe they can get off that for something if they get the right pick back, right?
Right.
If you're swapping, if the math is you're swapping Kyle Lowry's spot for Terry Rozier and Thomas Bryant's spot, I guess, for Nick Richards, and it's gonna cost you, I don't know, a first and a second. If it would be 2 firsts, that'd be a lot. But if it's a first and a second, I feel like that's something that everybody would sign for. I'm not sure Charlotte would. Maybe the first is enough for them to do that. So
That's pretty good value.
Yeah.
you know, I
But,
think.
but Brian, who do you think would be? Because it's obviously going to be a third team. There's always a third team. Who do you
Oh
think?
my god!
There might not
Eternal,
be.
Please,
They
Eternal.
might not.
No, I'm not, bro. I'm not even talking about nothing wild.
Man. You and
I'm
your
not even talking about
314
anything.
deal.
I'm not even talking about anything wild, Alex.
I'm just saying, no, because you went and said, "Oh, we know it's going to be a third." How do you know it's going to be a 3 or 14 deal? What do you mean?
And the only reason I bring up book night because people are repulsed at that idea. Trust me, I get it.
Me too.
The only reason I bring that up is because salary wise, he's
Yeah.
around where and he wouldn't cost that much. Like
For sure.
so. But I wouldn't do that because it's like if I'm Miami, I'm like I have RJ Hampton on a 2-way.
There's your point guard of the future.
I still have my RJ Hampton stock. Eternal, what were you going to bring up about the third team?
I mean, just basically like what we saw. We saw reports of the Wizards being a team that wants to take on bad contracts. Just like
picks, yeah.
So I'm just saying, like there probably will be
the Sean Marks special.
Yeah, like there'll probably be teams around the league, where you don't see them being involved, but they get involved.
Brooklyn. I think Brooklyn might be one of those teams because Sean Marks has in his history, if Brooklyn is in a shaky situation, which they're heading toward again, and they are in now, they've been a team that has taken on salary dumps for draft picks.
All right.
After the 2016-17 season, they traded Justin Hamilton, who was their backup center to Brook Lopez that year, for DeMare Carroll, a first-round pick and a second-round pick. They did that because Toronto felt like they were in a championship window, and they got rid of DeMare Carroll because the salary dump, whatever. And DeMare Carroll actually ended up being an integral part of the Nets making the playoffs that one time. But they got multiple picks for that. So I think that the DeJounte Murray report in the chat was funny that he's doubtful for Monday. Whoever they're playing against, bet on the other team because Atlanta's not going to have Trae Young either. He has a concussion. The Nets, the Wizards, they're going to be teams, and I'm sure Charlotte's going to be one of them. Otherwise, Terry Rozier's name wouldn't be out there. Like, yeah, they'd be interested in taking back draft picks for underwhelming contracts.
Do you think one of the things that you brought up? So if they do move Caleb, do you see somebody like Royce O'Neal coming back? It's like if it's a 3-team thing.
I don't know. Because three teams are hard to project.
No, it's going to happen though, according to Eternal. I mean, Eternal, if you've got sources saying it's going to happen, let me know.
Mr. Mathematologist, please.
Exactly.
Well, I had
said, guys, I'm not a mathematologist. I don't know how they're going to do a 3-team deal.
Alex, where are you at with Terry Rozier? Would he be high on your wish list as somebody who covers a team and you think that's what they need the most?
Yeah, it would be cool, man. I like it. I mean, I like we did a podcast, and I would prefer Murray on over him, but I mean, if they pull off that deal, like you get Rozier and somebody like Nick Richards, I feel like that's a pretty damn good way to shore up some of your problems. And again, like I don't think that just solves everything. You're good to go, go win a championship. But you know what, man? You put yourself in a pretty decent position when you get help like that. So I like the idea. I think Rozier, like Gad said, supercharged Kendrick Nunn. I feel like that's pretty good. Except I know for a fact Terry Rozier can actually get to the rim on his own. Right? He's on a screen merchant. And look, man, I'm not here to talk down on Kendrick Nunn. Like, he's over there playing overseas. I don't mean for it to sound bad. But look, man, like, Rozier is just a lot better. You know what I mean? Rozier can really, like, break down the defense, get to the rim. And you know what? I was gonna say something, but I kind of don't feel like starting a whole.
No, say it, Alex. Say it, Alex.
What is it?
Oh, man. He might be a better 3-level scorer than Tyler Hero. All right, y'all.
Oh, let's get the fuck out of here.
I mean, he is. He is.
He gets to the rim better.
He gets to the rim better. He is.
He just does.
The numbers would say that he is. Like, it just Tyler Hero's a 2-level scorer right now.
That's the thing.
Right.
It's not a hot take, but it's also
Like
I feel like it comes off a certain ways. Everybody's been
yes, because a lot of people are still waiting for Tyler to reach this level that I'm not sure he's gonna get to, unless he gets to that third level. And 6'1", maybe Terry Rozier. Yeah, he's a better 3-level scorer right now. Just is what it is. The numbers will tell you.
Tyler is like 2.5 because he's got like the floater. But yeah,
this is the no agendas that I'm here for.
It's eye test fact and it's
don't say it's
mathematical
math.
fact.
Don't say it's math.
It's both.
That's
it's
so funny.
Watch basketball. Like it is what it is. Look, I'm not Terry Rozier's not an all-star. Like although Zach Lowe was like, you know, he might have a case. But Terry Rozier's not like an all-star, whatever the case may be. But like, yes, man, like he would have a top 5 free throw rate on this Heat team right now.
I mean, if we're being honest though, Brian, like literally the Heat aren't losing if they get either one of them. If they get DeJounte or if they get Terry, like I think
I agree.
They can maximize they can maximize either one of them guys to be very, very, very good for them. Better than what they've had since Goran Dragic. You know what I'm saying? Like Bubba Goran.
Here's Terry Rozier. You can draw some parallels to him and Goran Dragic. Some. I don't know how Goran doesn't have a tattoo on the back of his head. You know what I mean? So there's some parallels.
Boy, you wild.
But Terry Rozier, look, Terry Rozier, like he's somebody I am not worried about him in a playoff game at all. Yes, he might shoot 4 for 16 on occasion. It may happen. But there are some like he's going to get after it in a big spot. He's done it with Boston. That playoff series was like those playoff series were kind of shaky in terms of efficiency as the playoffs normally were, but he was also very young in his career and had some big moments there too.
But also too, like, right, while I feel that Murray is the better get, bigger potential and shit like that.
Sure.
Hey man, I remember when we was covering, you know, I think it was earlier, I think it was this year or maybe back in December when they was playing the Hornets and Terry had a 5 steal game against Miami.
Yeah.
Like there are opportunities for him to get back to scary Terry as far as his defense, and be able to kind of give you some things that you haven't got in a while. But he also has, you know, Alex being that scoring ability to like explode like very quickly, you know. So, but I also think he can be a good playmaker for them. So.
Yeah, I think his playmaking is actually an underrated part of his game. Like just looking at his assist to turnover ratio, it's actually pretty damn comparable to DeJounte, who I feel like gets the rep more as like a point guard and a playmaker. I really don't feel like Rozier gets that rep much, if at all. I feel like people think of him more as like a shoot first type of point guard.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like their assists like this year. And of course, this isn't going to be something that's like directly translatable to the Heat and the role that he would be here because he's not going to be playing the same role. But with the added responsibility he's had this year, and that especially like that stretch without LaMelo, I mean, for the season he's 30. His assist percentage is 30. His turnover percentage is 9. Like that is fantastic. That is a 95th percentile, 95th percentile assist percentage.
Also, Alex, you know who leads the Heat in assist percentage?
This is gonna be nasty.
It's Jimmy Butler at 21.
Yeah.
And Terry Rozier's is at 31.
Yeah.
So
and like I said, look, he wouldn't like his usage this year is career high is at 27, which is very high. So look, he's not gonna have a 27 usage with the Heat, so I'm gonna expect similar, but even like in the years with smaller roles, he still had like pretty damn good assist to turnover percentages. When you just look at the ratios for those two, like last year 22-10, the year before 20-7. You know, so it goes from like
playing next to LaMelo Ball,
pretty
Alex.
good.
Playing next to LaMelo Ball, like he's not dominating the ball in every possession.
No, but he was the second option, and he still had like even last year 26 usage, and then kind of the years before it was where he was at for the rest of his career, where it was around like 23. So, you know, like let's say you try to like translate him into a role that he's been in the past, and it's more like a 22 or 23 usage. Even with that, I feel good about it, and I think that's the type of stuff you got to consider. You know, with any of these point guards we've been talking about, because it's like they're going to be playing a different role. So I still really like the idea, though, because the guy can straight up just break down a defense and make a play. And that's really what this is about. He can play off ball, and he can score from all three levels. So I'm into it.
I can see him and Jimmy really getting along also, for what it's worth.
He is also third in the NBA in points per possession off of pick and rolls.
Say that again?
He's third in the NBA points per possession off of pick and rolls.
Bam will give him some screens.
I will say this though,
man.
Alex. I was about to call you Greg, Brian. My bad. And that's
crazy.
That's crazy.
Greg is here somewhere in the chat, I think.
It's somewhere in the chat, but either one of them, bro, got dogs in them.
Both of them.
And both of them have dogs in them, and I think you need that type of energy in the team because, like Ethan, like what we talked about last night, Alex. Like nobody is challenging guys on the team to like, hey, bro, get your shit together. You know what I'm saying? And so like you need some of that energy.
You need to unretire UD's jersey is what I'm
So I mean, either one you get, I feel like it's gonna bring that fire, and those things are crucial in those playoff moments when you get into the thick of things. So I listen, man, I ain't gonna be mad either one they get, yo. And I just think that Miami has a chance, Brian, to kind of round out the edges because the market is so thick. You know, there's a shit ton of point guards available. A whole bunch of teams are making guys available. Hell, the Shams just reported that the Wizards are making everybody available outside of their most recent first round pick. Like literally everybody.
Tyus Jones would be somebody I consider here too. You know, but for me, it's like normally I would come in, I would make. I mean, not normally, but like. I would want to like make accept reality jokes, but I actually think they're gonna do something based on the stuff that I heard, and we saw the Barry Jackson tweet. We heard Ethan, like Greg, like myself, like
What's the Barry Jackson tweet?
There was a Barry Jackson tweet. Basically, I scrolled up a little bit. They have explored Lowry trades. This is in response to another tweet that he had. They've explored Lowry trades, certainly a real possibility. Don't know how it will end up, but they are looking into trades, I was assured. So he's couching it a little bit, but we're all saying the same thing where, yeah, they're trying to get something done. If you watched the Magic game last night, you know that they need to do something because that was the kind of, and I texted Greg during the game, and I guess like this would be the last thing I say before I get off. I texted Greg during the game because I remember Greg and I talked early on this year. And it was very early in the season where they came out very sluggish. Remember that? And he was like, man, this team, like, it almost feels like this group is like sort of ran its course and need a shakeup. Not like a Jimmy Bam breakup shakeup, but like needs some parts, need to fortify this rotation, need to do something with the Lowry thing. And then it didn't feel like they were going to do something. And then last night, I remember that conversation, and it felt like that again, where it's like, yeah, they need some sort of shakeup, whether it's adding in 1, 2. I don't think 1 is enough, but adding in a couple of guys to the rotation like they did with Crowder and Andre Iguodala, and to a lesser extent Solomon Hill. I think that's like now you have to do something because the East can be slipping from you a bit, and that Lowry spot is just killing you.
The Miami Heat are 31-32 within the last season and a half with Jimmy Butler, Tyler Hero, and Bam Adebayo playing a game together.
How many of those heroes started?
That's why it's a season and a half.
I'm not gonna drop a hero bomb today. Like,
but I will say this:
130. I'm not gonna do it. But
I will say this:
there's.
I don't know if you got the same text, But the text I got from a secondary source, like I listen, Eternal. I'm more of the read the tea leaves, motherfucker. Brian, Greg,
Eternal, you got
Ethan.
sources now?
No, bro, don't do that, okay? Like I'm being honest because I don't want people being like, oh, no, I am very serious about what the fuck I do. But from the text I got from a secondary source is that the Terry Rozier shit might be close. Is what I heard. I can't confirm that shit.
Alex aggregated you in the chat already. When
bro,
you
don't do that. But basically, like, it may be close, bro. That's the text I got out of nowhere.
Is the text from Ethan?
No, it wasn't. I asked Ethan about the fucking text. I asked Ethan if he had the same text.
I can't wait to tweet it out. According to Eternal, no last name given, the Heat might maybe be close to Terry Rozier, potentially.
I mean,
hey, man. Hey, bro. Don't do that shit with me. All right.
Yeah, I mean, look,
Eternal gonna be on Drew Star. That's funny.
They got to do something, and I wouldn't worry about the Terry Rozier. Like, does Terry Rozier and Tyler Hero, could they whatever? I wouldn't worry about that. I would just go get Terry Rozier and you figure it out.
You figured it. Yeah, you figured it out.
Terry Rozier and Tyler Hero can't quote unquote play together. It might not be Terry Rozier's problem.
Ooh, that's nasty. And on that note, if anything breaking happens, I will guarantee you this: we will be back. If anything breaking happens, we will come back and do another playback. But we appreciate all you guys that's been in here with us. Any lasting thoughts you want to share, Alex? Brian? Bro.
You almost forgot your name again.
Bro, I don't know what the fuck is going on. Brian, Ben.
I can't wait for this all to end with the Heat are committed to RJ Hampton as their point guard of the future.
All right, so address it real quick, Brian. Vice City, what he said about Jimmy's friend.
What am I looking at?
Brian, you were supposed to come up here, Goins. You were supposed to come up here and join us to talk all this trade shit.
Adam Glisson says, I thought you said no Tyler Bomb. That wasn't a Tyler Bomb. I don't have like a Tyler Bomb in terms of like info, reporting, whatever. I just have like a thought that we need to like really. I think we need a different evaluation process. I think.
Brian clearly wants pitchforks on his lawn, but
no, not really. I just think like in evaluating the team, like I just think we have to look at it. It's just in a different.
I will say though that shit that you shared about one free throw.
And I don't think Tyler's getting traded yet.
No, I don't either.
Like
that one free throw.
He's surviving till at least the summer.
If he got traded before the deadline, some shit would have to go incredibly horribly wrong for him personally.
They would be getting like I don't know who's the team that loves Tyler Hero and is going to fall over themselves to like try to I don't know that. There are some teams that like him, but I think probably to an extent. So we'll see. Terry, this is a great old tweet. The Heat been pissing me off lately. That's when Terry Rozier.
Oh man,
me too, Terry.
You know what's funny though?
He was in high school when he tweeted that. He was in high school.
A bunch of young stars like Dame and shit like that. Like, well, not young stars. I'm saying some of them guys.
Well, Dame's a young man.
Yeah, he's around our age.
He's older than me. Fuck out of here, yo.
Hey, bro, come on, chill out. Chill out, all right. Chill out. You just turned 30, motherfucker.
Yeah, I just got there. Yeah, exactly.
You just changed.
Dame's like 30, 33, 34?
Anyway, a lot of those guys were fans of the Heat. So of course you're gonna find some of them tweets. Anyway, man, if y'all
hold on. Before we end it, I wanted to shout out Brian Gordons from Heat Beat, who I asked about what was going on with the trade machine stuff since Leif on the trade machine he was using. It let him swap Terry Rozier for Kyle Lowry straight up. On ESPN's trade machine, it does not. So I was trying to figure out what was going on there. And Brian is like the biggest cap expert I know. And he replied here and basically cleared up that they can swap Kyle for Terry straight up because of the Hornets being under the first apron. And he explained it here in the chat if you want to scroll up and look at it. But yeah, they could theoretically get a deal done with just those two guys. No Nick Richards involved, none of that, or no Book Knight. So that makes it even more, I feel like, likely, just because it's one less like layer. Like, let's say the Hornets don't want to trade Nick Richards because, like you said, Mark Williams is still out. And, he's a young backup five, so maybe they don't want to move on from him for a Thomas Bryant.
He's on a good contract too, Alex.
Yeah, he's on a good contract. He's not like super young, but he's decently young, and he's better than Thomas Bryant. So let's say they don't want to move on from him. You could still make it happen. Sorry for the echo. But the other thing, by the way, speaking of Terry Rozier's old tweets, he's got an all-time great old tweet. I don't know if you guys know what you're talking about.
Is it about a certain someone being 7 feet tall?
Yes.
Okay.
That's crazy.
I forgot about that.
So Vice City asks, what do we think about Ernie welcoming Terry? Now I will say Jimmy's camp is very close. Some of that though, outside of Bernie Lee himself, the agent, you can't really put too much stock in, because we all got friend groups and shit like that. So I mean, you just kind of have to be cautious about that. But
I'm not allowed to read a Terry Rozier old tweet, right? Should just let people look that one up.
AG, please.
Yeah,
Please.
I'd say that's safe.
Brian, we're not in Twitter Spaces. If we was in Twitter Spaces, yeah, sure.
No, that'd probably be worse.
Yeah.
Kidding me? The tweet is from 2011. Is what I'll tell people.
Yeah.
On May 1st, 2011, Terry Rozier was like 17 years old.
Yeah,
He also said he'd been Terry Rozier.
I'm surprised, bro.
Too.
Has he deleted that shit? I hope.
I don't know, but you can find it.
Yeah.
All right. If enough people ask for the tweet, we'll link it.
It's posted in Discord. Somebody said.
Is it?
All right.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Would you take PJ Tucker on a buyout?
Yeah.
Yeah. Sure.
I would. I mean, I don't think he would play, Brian. I would because you need him in the locker room. I feel like you need
someone. Oh Lord, have mercy.
You need somebody to play the.
I'm just asking questions. Questions. All right.
So is Terry, right?
All right. Let's go. I gotta go.
11 p.m. on May 1st.
All right. Last thing before we get out of here. We are doing a giveaway at 2,500 members. We are at 2,239 members. Make sure you let everybody know to come join us on Playback. We will be doing giving away some signed things. At 3,000, we will be doing a jersey giveaway. So make sure you let everybody know to come join us on Playback. If you're not, Alex will drop the if you're not in our Discord, Alex will drop the Discord link in the chat for you guys to come join us. Get all of your hot takes off.
I got
frustrations and all of that stuff. Be respectful. Are we getting an eternal high school jersey? Baby, that's a limited edition. But again, like, we appreciate all the guys coming to join us.
Remember, this Saturday, y'all. This Saturday.
Oh yeah, drop the link
Rock
for that
East
shit.
Sports Center. I'm coming for first place. I'm going for that money, y'all. You better stop me. No, but in all reality, the Heat next game, the watch party is gonna be at 3 at Rock Esports Center. 2K tournament shortly after the game, so around 5:30, 5:45. Make sure to be there.
I dropped the link. Alex, you had a link for the what am I doing?
Watch party?
Yeah, for the watch party. I didn't know we was I got Jimmy Butler highlights up for some reason. But yeah, anyway. Alex, you can drop the link for the part till I get out of here. Any day now.
I keep forgetting D'Angelo Russell exists. I don't know why.
I would not ever want to play for the Lakers, by the way.
No.
Bro, they just traded for that man last year. Him and Rui and Vando. At some point, you got to take a look at maybe it's a LeBron and AD problem, but whatever. Anyway, there's a link. Appreciate you guys. Peace out. If any breaking news happens, we will be back.
Peace, y'all.